Today I just have a simple project. I've got one of these brackets. It's designed for holding up one of these giant Hitachi smartboard things. I just got this recently, and I've been looking for whiteboards recently to use for a couple of upcoming videos I'm doing where I need to like draw stuff. But I got that thing and it only had one of the mounting brackets. The other one fell off the back. So we're gonna go out into the garage, take some metal, and we're gonna make another one of these things. I don't have a lot of energy today. My breathing stuff / asthma is really giving me a hard time, so I'm not gonna do a whole lot of talking. But I think some therapeutic machining should be exactly what I need. It's basically a flat piece of metal with a hook on it and a couple of holes to mount it to the wall. It does have this little flat spot here on the bottom of it. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make that a bend that tight because I don't have a press brake. But I think the important bit is just going to be this hook here. As long as it's strong enough to be able to hold up the weight of this thing. That thing maybe weighs 45, 50 pounds, so it's not too bad. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do. This is what I have selected to make our part out of. It is actually steel. It's the rolled variety. So I do believe it should resist bending enough and still be strong. I'm not going to go too crazy with the bend on it, but yeah, let's start cutting this thing. When you buy a bandsaw from Harbor Freight, or it's ever made by Harbor Freight, you're never going to get the blade completely straight. That's where the money comes in, when you buy a legitimate quality one, and your parts won't be crooked. This will still work though. The stainless carp wasn't quite rigid enough, so now we have this brick planter. I think that should be good. There we go. Starting to take shape now. This is where we have to be really careful, though, not to cause the steel to crack, because we're getting a pretty good amount of bend on this. Yeah, I'll keep working away at it. Alright, I think that's actually good. Yeah, I think that might work. I'm going to go inside and test it. Quick comparison here. We've got the original bracket and our aftermarket one. It appears, though, our hook spacing is about the same. This one's a little bit narrower, but that's fine, I think. Yeah, I think that should work. Let me lean this thing forward a little bit and see if we can check the holes on the back. We probably won't be able to see them, Well, maybe if I move over a little bit. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's not going anywhere. It's got enough of an upward hook on it so it's not going to slide forward or anything. All right, cool. That is fantastic. It's not quite as elegant as I was thinking it might be, but this piece of steel was strong enough to let me hammer on it and bend on it without it cracking. So I'm going to go out and drill a couple more holes in this thing for mounting purposes. I mean, it's got the one here, but I would like to have a couple further out on the outside edges. So I'll go do that real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, bracket's made, and I painted it, of course, because, you know, no one's gonna see it, but I know it's back there and I want it to look good. But it's out in the sun drying right now, or the paint's curing. So I figured while that's happening, I would spend some time, and I've got the installation guide for this Hitachi Starboard system. It's essentially like a 77-inch computer monitor, and it works with also a Hitachi ultra short throw projector, which is sitting over here on the floor. I was looking around for whiteboards and I came across this whole setup for 250 bucks. It came with two projectors, it's got wall mounts, it's got all the pins and everything. I mean, look how big this thing is. It's absolutely insane. I'm using the C300 right now and it's super sketchy seat elevator. This all has to be installed in a very specific way. And the projector goes on the wall above the board and sticks out a little ways. So you have to get all of the mounting exactly correct. There is some adjustment on the wall mount, but everything has very specific spots that it has to go. So I figured while I'm waiting for some help to come over here, we will get as much of this marked out on the wall as I can reach. I figure this is a good spot for it. It's next to the computer. We do have some light. We do have some light coming in over there, but the projector is 2500 lumens, so I think it should be all right. But I got out the tape measure here. I've also got the laser level out, and I can't find my stud finder anywhere. So I was going around and just tapping on the wall and like trying to listen. But then I started getting over here and I wasn't hearing where the studs were. But then this magnet that someone had sent me, I realized, oh, these make excellent stud sensors. Check it out. So I've got the tape laying up here, and this tape measure has the markings for the 16-inch centers for studs. So I've laid it out to where I know there are a couple of studs already, and I've actually already marked them out. But what you can do with one of these magnets, obviously they're going to use nails, well, not screws in a place this old, but they'll have nails where the sheetrock is attached to the studs. So all you do is take your magnet and run it across, and you'll find a spot when you come across a nail. See, there we go. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of sort of sticking to the wall right there. So I drew a line there to mark that's where a nail is. I came down to the next spot where it sounded like there was a stud and just sort of moved it around. There we go, another nail there, so I drew a line. But when I got down here, the tapping method, I couldn't tell there was a stud. It sounds exactly the same all the way across. And then I just came down here and started waving this around, focus, until I found a nail. So we know there's another stud right there. So I've gone ahead and marked lines on the wall where I know there is a nail, which should be roughly centered-ish on where the studs are. And I lined up our tape here at the end. So we've got our 16-inch centers right here. There's a line that checks out, 32. Not quite in line, but close. And obviously we're not gonna know like the exact center of the studs because the nails could be a little bit off, but at least it gives us an idea of where they're gonna be. I leaned over and looked at the back of the thing. It's got these two vertical mounting strips, and they are 42 3/4 inches apart, which isn't exactly compatible with standard stud layout on 16-inch centers. So I think what I'm gonna do, because I mean, this thing doesn't weigh that much. We could use toggle bolts, but still, even if you're hanging 30 or 40 pounds on sheetrock, not a fan of toggle bolts. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a piece of plywood that is about the same width. I'm gonna get like the 1/4 inch stuff. Well, maybe a little thicker than 1/4 inch. And then I'm gonna fasten that to the available studs. That way we can use the plywood to mount our actual brackets to and actually have a more solid mounting surface. Now it is gonna space the thing out from the wall just a little bit, not too big a deal. I can put some other blocks of foam or wood or something down on the bottom to space it out. Because if this thing is at an angle like that, the projector's not gonna focus quite as well. But anyways, I'm lowering the chair back down and I'm gonna see what a comfortable height is for me to reach. And then we'll use math in the chart to figure out exactly where everything on the wall is gonna go. But yeah, I figure I'll get all this stupid stuff out of the way. That way when help shows up, they can just zip the screws into the wall, hang it, and be done. And we won't have to screw around with all this. It's like when you're asking help when you're moving and you show up and nothing is packed. There's nothing more frustrating to help when they just have to sit around and watch you put stuff in boxes. Anyways, yeah. So this is a random coffee review. I've been exquisitely lazy the past few days. And actually also I've used up most of the coffee that has showed up in the mail. But while I was at the grocery store, I've been trying things like this. Now this says cold brew on the bottle and this whole container is only 4 servings. It's pretty weak, but I mean it's serviceable as coffee. But right now, this is supposedly cold brew concentrate. Black coffee. Customize chameleon using a 2-to-1 ratio. Okay, so 2-to-1 ratio means it's probably not going to be like extremely strong, but light does pass through it. I have pretty high standards when it comes to coffee concentrate and how strong it should be and how long it should be brewed. So we're gonna try just a little bit of this here. Oh yeah. See how you can like basically, see how you can see right through that? Oh boy. It's not good, but there's a sliding scale between what is serviceable as coffee and what is actually bad and undrinkable. I think I'm just gonna mix this up fairly strong. And then I normally put heavy cream in my coffee, so we're just gonna put a bunch of that in there. And I think we should be all right. Let me grab a flashlight. Or a torch, as they say. So we'll use the one that I carry around with me. Flashlight, it's bright. This is the coffee we just got. See how it just looks like iced tea? This is proper cold brew. See how light does not escape its surface? Like, yeah. But the real question is, will it pass as drinkable? Now the Stumptown stuff, or is it Stumptown? No, Dutch Brothers. Anyways, the stuff that they sell, it comes in cans now. And it almost tastes like it's crash cooled. Because it's got this crazy, like, bitter, acidic flavor to it. And proper cold brew should not be bitter or acidic at all. If it is, you're doing something seriously wrong. Oh yeah, we're using a lot of that. And then ice. And a wee bit of water. Alright, so here's the test. Should the cold brew chameleon stay in hiding, or is it ready for big time? You know, it's not too bad. This bottle was like $11 though. Let's see how many servings it claims are in here. 4 servings. Yeah, I mean, if you're not used to cold brew, this stuff is definitely not where I'd start, because this would probably make you swear off cold brew for the rest of your life. But in a pinch, and when you're too lazy to wait 12 hours to brew some more, it gets the job done. downgrade. Oh, lock the exposure. Yeah. So I got this far into this coffee, and I'm sitting here eating chicken salad. I don't even know if you're supposed to just eat this. I feel like it's an ingredient for something else, but the more I drink this, the more I realize how truly terrible it actually is. So I'm gonna go ahead and downgrade this to a don't buy. The Starbucks stuff that you can buy from the grocery store in the big like half-gallon thing is way better than this. This is like an interpretation of what cold brew should be from someone that has no idea what cold brew should be. It's like bitter and terrible. I think I'm going to try and salvage this. I'm going to dump in some of my cold brew and try to dilute it. But yeah, don't buy the chameleon. It should stay hidden. Yeah, I made a chameleon joke. Eh. Oh look, it's a thing. Yeah, so I had some help, got the thing all set up and everything. There's the aspect ratio of the computer that's running this right now doesn't quite fill the entire screen, so there's a little bit here at the bottom that we can't use. If I wanted to fill that completely, I would need a different mount up here to pull the thing further away from the wall. But I think for my purposes, that should work just fine. Got all the wiring and everything set up on it, but the main thing with this that puts it, well, I mean, there's a lot of things, but for me, not having to hold a pen to draw on a whiteboard. You can just use your finger. Now, it did come with a bunch of pens. It uses this array of ultrasonic and infrared sensors that are built into the board and also on the projector. It comes with a few different types of pens that have ultrasonic transmitters on them. The microphone might pick this up. Let's see if you can hear it. They make a very faint clicking noise, and that's the ultrasonic, but then they also have these infrared transmitters around the edge as well. But check it out. There's a bunch of stuff you can do with this. I still need to figure out different camera angles and lighting and ways to make this work, but I left myself some space over here so I can write stuff on this and then get out of the way and actually show it. And you can also take the output from the computer that's running this thing and feed it directly into a video too. But check this out. So let's say we want to write the word test here, but let's say our handwriting's not very good. So of course it has recognition built in, so you can turn that into an actual word. We can move that up here out of the way. You can change your pen color, so there we've got something in red. It's got shape recognition as well, so if you want to draw a square that's like actually square, you can do that and it will recognize it. And then boom, turns into an actual square. So you want to put a circle inside here. Not a very good circle, but boom, now it's a circle. Yeah, just so many different options that you can do with this thing. But it's all based around this short throw projector up here. And the way these things work is they have a bunch of crazy optics in them. Like it's only, like the lens of this thing is maybe 18 inches from the surface of the board, or less than that. Usually this style of projector, well, I guess I can just draw it since we have a thing here. So usually this style of projector, it's gonna have a little box like this, and the front usually sort of ramps up like this. And let's turn off the shape recognition. So here's our projector, but the way these things usually work is they have a little lens that sits up here like this. And when you turn the thing on, the lens will fold up like this. And then the light inside the projector gets generated in here with all the circuitry. And the light basically fires out like this off of the mirror and then up onto the surface that is going to be pretty much right behind the thing. Let's see, color change. I need to mount the back of the board. See how it jiggles just a little bit? I need to mount the bottom of it because when the board flexes, it screws up the sensors a little bit. But yeah, so your screen is going to be really close to the back of your projector. Basically, our image just comes out here. Actually, oh wait, we can use a feature of this. Hang on. So we can select all this, And then let's move this down. There we go. Probably a little bit lower. All right. The light from our projector comes out, and using all the optics will fill the entire screen. But yeah, so that's essentially how this thing works. It's flipped upside down and mounted on the ceiling. So yeah, I'm really happy with this thing. Then let's see here with one of these pins. Let's see if I can get it to work. With these, you can hover the mouse around without even touching the screen, and say we want to erase parts of this, I can hold this button down and then now move it around and erase sections of this stuff. There's just, like I said, there's just a whole bunch of really cool stuff you can do with this. And there's a number of videos coming up that I'm going to be using this for. One of them, I'm going to be explaining how wheelchair control systems work and kind of demystifying the networks and stuff that the chair use and explaining it in a way that sort of makes sense, but also for people that are interested in how the communications and stuff inside the chairs work. Yeah, gotta have illustrations to show some of that stuff. But anyways, the setup I got came with 2 projectors. They both worked, past tense. They were a little bit dirty and needed some cleaning. Let's go out into the garage and I'll show you what I mean. Welcome to the Hitachi Ultra Short Throw Projector Surgery Center. So when I got both of these things, this one said it had like 30,000 hours on the lamp. I don't even know if that's possible. They probably just didn't reset the thing when they changed the lamps, but here's our mirror in the front, and then our optics sit right here. When I looked at both of these things, I could see, this is the output lens. You can see how crazy and weird it looks, but see how it's all foggy and gross? Well, since these things were used in a school, careful, since these things were used in a school, they were running 24/7 pretty much, and they got a lot of dirt inside of them. Check out the amount of dirt buildup that there is on this circuit board. Pretty much everything. Well, and I have actually blown this one out too. I got most of the dirt out from everywhere else, but then, yeah. This one, unfortunately, I kind of made a bit of a noob mistake on when I was taking it apart. It does still technically work, but green is not going to function on this thing anymore. These have 3 LCD panels in them. Your lamp sits over here, fires light in this way into the lighting engine, and it's got little shutters here to adjust the amount of light. But what happened, our optical block's down here, the light comes in, and then there's an LCD panel for each of the colors. We've got blue, red, and green, and these 3 ribbon cables poke up through the circuit board and attach to these connectors here. Well, I disconnected these 2, pulled them out. I forgot about this one. So I started lifting the board out, and I'm like, what's going on? And edges of circuit boards are pretty sharp and are basically like a knife. Check out what I accidentally did. I sliced this ribbon cable on the edge of the circuit board because I didn't disconnect it. So now the green LCD panel will not work anymore. And you can't really get replacement parts for these. But the other problem is, even if I could, replacing one of these things, there's a crazy precise process to get these things aligned. So even if I could get a new one of these, because this ribbon cable doesn't detach, it's soldered directly onto, or bonded directly. Oh look, see there's even dirt on here. There's dirt everywhere in these things. But it's bonded directly onto that panel, so you can't replace it. At least the ribbon. So you have to replace the whole thing, but getting it aligned is pretty much impossible. While I was looking around online, I found out you can get broken versions of these projectors, which basically just need a lamp, for like 75 bucks. Perfectly working ones are like $100. So I was thinking when I bought this setup originally that I would have one good projector and then one for parts. This one was pretty dim. I think the lamp in it had a lot of hours on it. And the one I'm using right now is way brighter. I did successfully take apart the one in the living room and get it cleaned without damaging the cables on it. So it's all good now. And our output optics don't have this haze on them. It's like perfectly clear. But yeah, I figured I would have one that works and one for parts. So now that is 100% the case. I was thinking it'd be cool to have another one of these things and use it as like a TV or something, but I could just use the one in there as a TV if I wanted to. But that's kind of not the reason I got all this stuff. But even looking at these filters, they're just so incredibly packed with dust and dirt. So this one's dead, but you know, it has parts and we can use that for the other one. The first thing I checked though when I saw this setup for sale for 250 bucks was the model number of the projectors and how much the lamps cost. Because some projectors, the lamps can be $800-900 bucks. So it's really not even worth having a system if it costs that much. But these, the lamp modules, are $65. So yeah, if one of these goes out, that's no big deal. They do have a pretty long life. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's 210 watts. I believe these run on DC. But yeah, it's basically a little arc lamp inside there. You can see some of the optics. But yeah, they're like 60 bucks. So that means I've got a projector now for parts in case that one breaks, or if I do something stupid and rip cables inside of it, although I shouldn't have to be opening it again anytime soon. But when the lamps go out, it's no big deal to get a replacement. So yeah, super happy. To me, for 250 bucks, it was kind of a no-brainer because the size of whiteboard I wanted to get was not quite that big, but pretty close. And it was going to be 175 to 200 bucks for just a whiteboard. So for 250, I'm like, yeah, duh, no brainer. Did manage to get everything set up though with all the wiring and everything. So the projector is powered down there with an outlet. All the wiring runs behind it and everything comes out over here. And what I decided to do was I had a bunch of these old Dell laptops. Oh, by the way, I got that new table desk installed. I think that looks pretty good. But I got a bunch of these old Dell laptops and this thing is sitting here, it's plugged in with the monitor output, it's got the inputs for the ultrasonic and infrared sensors, and this thing is running the software that runs that board. So this computer can just sit here, I never have to touch it, never have to do anything, and we can fire up the Starboard system and use it whenever we want. That computer is also on the network, so I can access it from another machine, and the projector, you can also display images from other computers on this thing as well. So it's going to be a really universal, pretty neat setup. And yeah, I went a little bit nuts with the cable management down there too. I need to tie up some of these wires from the projector board, but yeah. But yeah, there you go. There's a couple of projects from the last few days. I'm going to learn how to use this thing, and then as per usual, there's always tons of things swirling around in my head for videos I want to make and projects I want to do. But I do want to get back to the RC Power Wheels project. I've been looking around in the garage and I think I'm going to use the wireless control system that I made for that other power chair, but I think I'm going to rob some motors out of another power chair base and stick them directly on the bottom of that Power Wheels thing instead of modifying that cart. But anyways, as per usual, I'll see you guys in a few days, and you never know what's going to come up next.